Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Chakra Way Meditation Podcast. I'm Roseanne, and I'm here with beautiful girl from LA, Giovanna Silvestri. And Giovanna has a book which I'm really interested to hear about. I haven't read it. I have to confess, I haven't read it. But I like what I hear. I like what I see. Gorgeous girl. So Giovanna's also an entrepreneur. She has a kind of lifestyle business, beautiful yoga leggings and so on. But the main focus of our chat today that I want to talk about is the book that you have written and what is inside it. And your Giovanna's brand is called Confused Girl in the City. And so I think that's the best place to start. So how confused are you, Giovanna?
Oh, I'm always confused.
Where did, where did that come from?
Well, in my late 20s, I went through the Saturn returns, quarter life crisis, and I found myself in a really deep depression. Like it hit me really, really hard. And what I had realized by that is that it hit me so hard and I fell so hard because I had spent my whole young adult life kind of doing what I thought I should be doing or what I thought would look good to other people.
Hmm.
And I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
And so like I worked in Hollywood. I worked with like big celebrities in my early 20s and I got really far, but I was like incredibly unhappy. So I left that. Then I thought I'd, maybe take over my parents' Italian restaurant. I went home. I did that for a year and a half. I was miserable doing that. And so I came back to LA and I just broken up with my boyfriend. I was unemployed. I was broke. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I have a lot of energy and I'm ambitious. And that's like almost one of the worst things for someone who has a lot of energy and they're ambitious when
Mm.
you don't know what you want to do and you don't even know who you are. So you don't know where to direct this energy.
Mm. Hence the confused girl in the city. Yeah. I
Exactly.
mean, this is a really common thing, I think. And honestly, I think it's a really interesting thing because like when you're in your teens, you think, oh my God, it's going to be so amazing when I'm 25 because I'm going to have a job and it's going to be so cool. And I'm going to like you have this idea about what it's going to be in your 20s because society and TV and movies and what have you tell you that there's this incredible future there for you. And then you arrive and it's confusing. It's really is, it's difficult. And if you don't know your purpose, if you don't know what lights you up and what you're passionate about, then you flail. And I think that's a very common story for a lot of people.
Yeah, because even academically, like our schools, like I went to private Catholic school my entire life, and you learn about your religion, you learn a curriculum,
Mhm.
but you don't learn about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they don't teach you how to understand yourself. And I've said before, we none of us come in with a manual. Like I
Hmm.
didn't come in with a manual when I was born, how to do Giovanna Silvestri's life.
Yeah.
And the thing
Mhm.
is like what works for me isn't going to work for you or the girl down the street. So it can be really, really difficult. So I found myself in this place and I thought, well, I was trying to be more authentic. I was trying to get to know myself. And I was really ashamed of being confused because it's
Mm.
like I went to good schools. I'm supposed to know everything. I'm supposed to just, be on top all the time and be competitive. And
Yeah.
and I was really ashamed of being confused. And I was like questioning that. Why should I be ashamed? Like, doesn't everybody kind of go through this in life? And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to do the most authentic thing I can right now. I'm going to start a blog called Confused Girl in the City and talk about it. And that's exactly what I did.
Awesome. Yeah. And I guess we're talking, what, 10, 12? How many years ago was that you started a blog?
Yeah, that was about like maybe like 11 years ago. I
Yeah.
started the blog.
Yeah, so that was a time when blogs were really popular, and if you had a catchy thing and you people identified with you, they would catch on and people would listen. So you started writing a blog, but about this kind of like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing in my life. So what did you do to to begin to understand, to kind of unpick all this confusion? Was the process of writing actually really helpful for you?
Well,
What was it?
actually, it was more of a vlog on YouTube.
Okay.
It started out as more of a vlog. So what I did initially for the vlog is that I promised myself that I was going to do one new thing every week. So to figure out who I was.
Mm,
And also like when you're depressed, you have no ambition to do anything. You
yeah,
know, you
that's right.
like sleep in, you eat junk food, and it got so bad for me where I was in like this mental prison, you know? So and actually before I started doing the one new thing every week, I really did get myself out of the mental prison. Like I broke free of it by yoga, meditation. I watched a ton of YouTube videos, read a ton of books. I was doing like everything to get out of this funk.
Yeah, you do the work, and and the work does look exactly like that. It's just moving your body, finding a bit of peace in your brain, and learning and listening. And you were doing mind, body, spirit there, which, obviously intuitively knew that that was going to be the right thing, which is good. Kudos to you. That's very
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Well, and also I just got to this point where it was like, okay, either I have to figure this out and get
Mm,
better, or I don't want to live like this anymore.
yeah.
Like I can't take it. So it just got that extreme. So I went in the right direction. and and then once I started feeling better, that's when I started the blog Confused Girl in the City, and I started doing one new thing every week. And actually the first thing I did on the vlog, which it's so crazy, I went bungee jumping.
Oh my God.
And
Oh yeah, okay. Well done. I can
I
all the money in the world.
Oh my gosh. What I realized is that I don't like bungee jumping, never want to do it again.
Okay.
But it was kind of like a symbolic, like I wasn't trying to be symbolic at the time. It just kind of happened where my roommate was going to go bungee jumping. I was like, I have to do one new thing this week for my blog. Okay, I'll go with you. And so it just happened like that. And then it was kind of symbolic, like I was jumping off into a new life, like finding, like, let's go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, in the most dramatic possible way as well. I mean, that's just like fling yourself off a bridge or whatever it was you did. It's like, it is.
yeah,
It's super symbolic. And you
yeah,
didn't even realize it at the time, but that is what sometimes we just really do in order to get out of the funk, to get out, we have to push ourselves to do something new. Now, doing a bungee jump is an extreme version of that for sure. But it can be something as simple as, joining a dance class or, finding a new yoga class or, yeah, just anything that's just slightly out of your comfort zone. Let's not all go bungee jumping. I mean, you can if you
yeah,
want.
no, exactly. I know, exactly. And I actually did do that. Like I took salsa. I realized I wasn't an adrenaline junkie. I didn't like bungee jumping, but afterward, I did feel super alive. Like I felt
Mm,
alive for a couple of days, like just extreme endorphins. So I actually understood why adrenaline junkies, why people are adrenaline junkies. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
I get the high, but my legs were shaking for like an hour afterward. They were like,
I'm not surprised. But again, that's just your physical body going, what the hell did you just do? You
"What did you
nearly,
just do, crazy girl?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah. But that's your nervous system going, that was a near-death experience or something akin to, it felt the closest that it had come to that. Yeah. So the adrenaline
exactly.
bill and the energy was flying around your body, hence the shaking. It's an interesting thing. when I'm in it, when I'm teaching yoga and people go, I can't do that pose because I shake. And I'm like, no, that's fantastic. If you're shaking, that means that the energy is moving, stuff is shifting around your body. So invite in the shake. Yes, your muscles may be just going, what? But actually, if you translate that or see that as energy moving, then it can become a welcome thing to find a shaking. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like these things that push you outside of your comfort zone, you grow,
Mm,
there's growth there.
yeah.
So, but I did do dance classes, like you were saying, I did salsa and I found out that I loved that. So that was really great too, because it's like I love salsa dancing. Like I can't stop smiling when I'm dancing. And even if I'm not that great at it, like I loved it so
Yeah.
much. So I started doing that once a week because I'm like, okay, that's part of self-love is doing stuff that makes you happy, not depriving yourself of it. So like
Mm,
I incorporated that into my life. And yeah, I think that's if people are struggling with I don't know who I am, I don't know what I like and don't like, and a lot of
mm.
people find themselves in their 50s, 60s like that.
Oh, yeah, really, it's true. Absolutely. But I'm tempted to ask what did you do next? Because at the moment, like for me, in my chakra brain that I use for pretty much everything, like you challenged your root chakra when you jumped off that bridge. You made your whole body absolutely terrified. You woke up that thing that was kind of sluggish and stuck and inactive, and you made like the most brutal contact with your body that you possibly could. And then you went to dancing classes, and salsa especially is super hippie, it's sensual, it's quite sexy, and it's fun. And that is all about sacral energy. And those, once you've got those two energies moving, the next one is the solar plexus, and that's where our purpose lives. That's where our sense of self lives. So I want to know, like, and what came next is
Oh my God, that's great. Okay, that's crazy that you said that because this all led to to me starting a yoga wear line and then writing a book.
yeah. So there you are.
So,
The
see,
purpose.
and I didn't know that about the I didn't know what chakras I was awakening. I didn't know. I love that. I just learned something.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good because when we don't have that foundation within the root or that kind of stability, and you've got a loving family and like your foundation, good schooling, all the rest of it, like your basics foundation, but it was kind of like sluggish. It was kind of not really knowing where to go, what to do, and you woke that
Yeah.
up. And then you started to connect with your passions, which is what lives in the sacral as well. It's a sort of fun, sexy, moving, passionate kind of place to be. But from there, that's when purpose really begins to start.
To
So
unfold.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That rises up, to the heart, then you're expansive and you're giving and you're compassionate and you're kind of able to begin to love yourself, because this is something that you talk about a lot in your book, I'm sure. It's about how you
Yes.
learn to love yourself. So that's the next stage, you found your purpose, you started thinking, actually, I could be an entrepreneur. I've got this cool idea for yoga leggings, and then I can write a book. But then this all happened around with self-love. So tell me about your self-love journey. Did it come with all of this activity and stuff that you were doing, or?
Well, it was like it was everything all together. And it took time, you
Of
know.
course.
It
Yeah.
it took like I mean, well, the self-love journey is like until you die, right?
Yeah.
But it like to really get out of the funk and then start to understand who I was, because I really do believe like happiness and joy is rooted in trusting and knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Like once you have that basis of like, I'm good with myself, then you can access joy and happiness. And even when times are tough, you can deal with it because you have like a trust and a knowing of yourself. So
Mm,
I started to have that, like, the beginning stages of that. And it just gets deeper as you get older, But I started to develop that. And then I also started to develop a real trust in the universe. Whether
Mm.
whatever you want to call it, the universe, God, everybody has their different, the source, the light. But it's like I started to develop a real trust in that. And with that, I was able to also let go a little bit, like start to learn how to let go, because I was always somebody that was a little controlling.
Mhm.
And I think I believed that if I'm not going to do it, then it's not going to happen, which is true to a certain extent. But now, and the way this book evolved is just I couldn't have done this. Like I just showed up and wrote, and then the universe did everything else. I really do think of life like a dance. And you show up to the dance floor, and I know my moves, and I look good, and I'm ready to tango, but you need your partner to come, and you have to trust them to lead you. And I look at my partner as the universe.
Mm. Yeah.
So I also think you start to have more peace when you can learn to just like let it go a little bit and know it's not all up to you.
Yeah. There's two things that you've talked about there was that this trust in yourself and knowing of yourself, and then this ability to surrender and let go are absolutely heart-centered, energetically wise. They're completely heart-centered. And the biggest enemy of that first part of just trusting the self is when we let in that monkey brain that goes, oh, you're really actually not very good at this, or you're a bit, that horrible critical, that horrible inner critic that comes up to give you a downer and make you feel less than you actually are. But if we can get through that, so I want to go to that place of I don't know. It feels like for you, it was quite natural that inner knowing, that trusting of the self. But was there anything that you can kind of pinpoint that gave you that, like, actually, I'm okay, and actually, I don't really care what other people think, or that thing that gets you out of that place of self-doubt and into self-love.
Well, for me, it just got to a point where I my mental prison got so bad to where it was like a loop, like a record player of exactly what you were talking about, all the negative thoughts,
Hmm.
you know? And I remember thinking when I was in this mental prison, I was like, I'd rather be in a physical prison but be mentally free. That would feel better than being in the mental prison.
Yeah.
Because I would just like kind of be laying on the ground in my house and just like holding my head and be like, please make it stop, please make it stop, please make it stop, you know? And I think once I started to do all these things like a gratitude journal and really try to like shift this and yoga and meditation, I was doing like everything to get myself out of this. And
Mm.
then I had this one day where I woke up and it was like I felt all this joy and all of this gratitude energy in my body, and I'd never felt that before. It was
Mm.
kind of like being on ecstasy or Molly, but now I hadn't taken a drug. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
really crazy. But I think also when I was in that mental prison, my ego kind of um my ego was kind of the one like me like beating me down, but I got beat down so much, it's like I got cracked open in a way.
Mm.
I don't know if that makes any sense. But it was like it got so bad, I just didn't I couldn't care what anybody else thought or anything. It was
Yeah.
like, I feel so down, you know? And yeah, I got to this point where it's like, I'm confused. I don't feel great. So who cares anymore? It doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
But to have that, but the fact is that you found the tools that got you out of that place. And I am sure that there were some days where you did not feel like writing a gratitude journal and you kind of struggled to think of things potentially that you actually were really wholeheartedly grateful for.
Completely, all the days actually.
Yeah. So you have to
In the beginning.
really, you have to dig deep. And there's always a little bit, like when I'm doing a chakra reading for somebody and there's some areas that are really blocked and other areas, there will always be an area of strength. There will always be some energy somewhere, especially, if somebody's come to me, then they've still got some kind of like energy to heal themselves, to get to that next
Exactly.
place. But
Yes.
I believe that everybody has something within them, and it may be that their throat chakra, or maybe their crown, they're really open there, or maybe they just have this strong base, but the solar plexus is gone. Like there's always an energy that we can call upon to give us the strength to get to that next level. And it's only one step that we have to take at a time to get ourselves out of that space of feeling hopeless or just feeling really confused or down. There's just one small step every day. And if you can make yourself do that one small step every day, then the next thing you know, you're going to be jumping off on a bungee rope,
Exactly.
really shifting
Exactly.
things. Whether
Exactly.
that's a metaphorical or an actual bungee rope. But we do need to put in that, that's why it's called work. This work that we do, it is work. Has to be purposeful. Like just recently I was just feeling really down and I was just like, oh, okay, fine. So I wrote down and I've got my journal and I'm just writing all my positive affirmations. The thing that I do is I write down things that I know to be absolutely true in this moment, like my name is Roseanne and I'm wearing a pink jumper or whatever, but then interspersing those absolutely true, irrefutable facts with things that I want to be true. So if I'm not feeling strong, I'll write down I am really strong and absolutely capable. I am, really organized. I think it was about being disorganized and just not getting my admin sorted. So I'm like, now my administrative skills are beautiful today. But even when you don't feel it, you have to do it. Even when you don't believe, because as you say, your partner, everybody's partner, the universe is there. And one of the most beautiful things to know about life, in my view, is that the universe has your best interests at heart. And if we can hold on to that as a fact, because it is a
It
fact,
is.
then you can let go of all of the minutiae that daily stuff brings you down. You go, okay, well, that happened for some reason, that it will become clear why I'm feeling this way or why I'm having to learn this lesson or whatever. Yeah, we have to just keep on trusting. It's such a freeing thing to be able to do, to just free up.
It really is. And one thing that I've kind of seen and experienced and what's made it easier for me is I follow the breadcrumbs. My friend
Mhm.
told me that. She's like, "You're really good at following the breadcrumbs the universe leaves for you." Because
Yeah.
when you're on the journey and you're like, "Okay, so I feel like I am doing my purpose and I'm on the path, right? My soul, my heart, everything is telling me that I'm on the right path." But it gets really hard. And then there's all these obstacles. And then you go, "Well, come on, guys. Like, I mean, can you help a girl out here? Like, I'm doing what you want me to do, you know?" And, and but then it's like when I get to that point, it's like they drop a little breadcrumb.
Yeah.
And it's like like all of a sudden somebody will come up to me and tell me something that I needed to hear. Or a
Mm.
friend will remind me of something. Or even it was so crazy because I was literally after I started my yoga wear line, and my yoga pants are inspired by healing crystals. And I started that, years ago when Lululemon was very niche, and Lululemon was really the only ones making yoga wear.
Mm.
There were other a few small companies, and then I started because so I didn't start when everybody was doing it. I started way before. So I was making these leggings and it took a long time to get them to sell and figure out how to market them. That was a whole like really difficult journey. Then once I figured it out and I was able to sell them, I was selling them like all over the world. I was selling thousands of them. And just from my like apartment here in LA, I was like shipping out of my house. My room became
Mm.
like a whole shipping distribution center. And I remember thinking, this is so great and I'm so grateful, but it's enough for me to live, but it's still not a ton of money,
Yeah.
and I've done so much and it's still like, and I was on the phone, with my friend and I was in Culver City and I was telling her this and, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And, again, going back into confusion because
Mhm.
confusion's going to hit you all throughout your
Oh,
life. So you better get used
throughout.
to
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I still get so confused. I am, yeah, I
it,
can.
And so I'm talking to my friend and complaining, and then I see a girl in my leggings walking down the street.
Must be so cool.
And I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. Just forget everything I said. I cannot believe what just happened right now. And I told her, and she's like, see, the universe leaves you breadcrumbs all the time. And I'm like, that is just too weird.
Yeah.
Like, that is just too weird. So basically, they were like, just keep going on this path, you
Mm.
know? And I mean, it has been a journey because uh after like I think 5 or 6 years of doing it and it was going well, I had this um inspiration to write a book.
Mm.
And this inspiration came to me. I was driving from LA to San Luis Obispo to see my parents. And it like hit me like a bolt of lightning. And it was like, you're going to write a book. And then my whole body got filled with like joy and excitement. And that's how I really believe people know when they're supposed to do something. Because I've done other
Yeah.
things that I thought about. There was no joy or inspiration. It was just overwhelm.
Yeah.
And I did it anyway. And I lost money. And it ended up being such a pain.
Mm.
And so now I'm like, okay, if I am not feeling the good stuff, I'm not doing
Yeah.
it.
But this is where it's really interesting also because you felt this sensation of this being a right choice. You felt that sensation within your body. There was
Yes.
every message, your body was just going, giving you a massive, big, fat yes. Now, there's other ideas that you can go, oh, that could work. That could be really good. Um, it could be a money spinner, or it could be successful, whatever. But if your body's not singing the yes chorus at you, then, and this is where it's so important to be in touch with our bodies because our body knows. Our brain thinks it's got all the answers. It thinks it's so clever. But actually, it's just a big processing machine where your soul, where the actual kind of real answer lives, is within the body. And that's why a yoga practice, a somatic practice of some sort is so vital that you are really in touch with your body. So you can listen to the signs, listen to the signals when they come, hear the big fat yes, hear the maybes, and most definitely you want to hear the no's. I mean, in fact, it's really the no's are the most clear usually. And if you just go through your daily life, just going, okay, I'm going to listen to my body and hear when it says yes and hear when it says no. And it could be on tiny things. It's like, you walk into
Food.
yeah, exactly. Walk into a big cafe and you've got a big array of sandwiches. Like your body's going to tell you which sandwich it wants.
Yeah.
This is, we
Yeah.
take it for granted that we're just like, oh, I feel like that today. No, it's your body is going, actually, I need a bit of this, I fancy a bit of that. Like this is just on a very basic level, you're listening to your body, but we can expand that into so much more. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely have experienced both sides of that.
We all
When it
have.
felt good and I was supposed to do something and when it didn't feel good and I did it anyway and I suffer the consequences. So
Mm.
I've tried it out.
Yeah. And but you have to, unfortunately, there is no easy way. You have to, you do have to do it by trial and error. And but that's the fun of life. That's the fun of being a human, having an experience as a human being. That's the fun of it, is working it all out. Um,
Exactly.
so tell me more about the book. So what is your book, what is it saying? What is it trying
So
to help people with?
so the book is called Confused Girl, Find Your Peace in the Chaos. And the main premise of the book is that confusion is actually a virtue.
Mm,
And so I take people through how you can, like, when you feel confused, instead of rejecting it and pretending like you know it all,
hmm
go, really start to look at it like an adventure. Like, don't be scared of it. Don't be ashamed. Go, okay, I'm confused right now. What is there for me to discover? Like,
mm.
get curious about it because, oh, like, confusion leads to discovery. If you're walking around all the time, not confused and like you know everything, what are you discovering?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, even, Buddha was confused. He went on his journey, to find nirvana. He couldn't have gotten there without the confusion and trying a ton of things and experimenting. So, that's the premise of the book is that let's take the shame out of it and confusion is a virtue.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's a really valuable lesson because I think that we do spend so much of our lives feeling confused because we are bombarded with so much information and so much opinion and so much stuff. Like, how are we supposed to have an opinion on everything? It feels like we're supposed to have an opinion. And so, therefore, we hear something and we go, well, that seems to make sense. So I'll make that my opinion. But actually, we are quite confused about what it is that is really happening. Um, and it's okay to be confused. It's okay. How on earth are we supposed to know everything? We're not. It's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that as a premise. It's okay to be
Yeah,
confused.
and it's like you don't know what happens behind closed doors. You don't know what's really going on. You have partial truths.
Oh, yeah. I mean, very partial and a lot of complete fiction being
Exactly.
put out as truth.
Exactly. And a lot of times we have our rose-colored glasses on, or rose-colored glasses on or we wear our insecurities. So we're funneling things through our insecurities that are
Yeah.
things. So we're getting a lot of partial truths. So I think it's good to remain flexible and constantly in a state of discovery.
Mm,
That's why I say I always want to be a confused girl. And I'm very grounded and I feel very solid. It doesn't mean I'm like, "Ooh," like
yeah.
flailing around. I'm not. I'm very grounded. I'm very solid. But I'm just a very curious human being.
Yeah. I mean, for me, what you're sort of describing is being constantly questioning, constantly asking the questions that come up within your life and really investigating and going deep on various things because you're genuinely interested in
Yeah.
in the well, why, how, like, and it's okay to ask as many stupid questions. I mean, that's why I do superbly on this podcast is ask all the dumb questions. Yeah, I'm just like, there is no such thing as a stupid question. Just keep asking because if you are too proud to ask the dumb questions, then you're never going to learn anything. Everybody's got
Yeah.
something to teach you, even if you think that they've not. They do. They really do.
Yes. Otherwise, they wouldn't be showing up in your life, right?
Yeah.
So, and even it's funny because, even the way we started this before we started recording, we were
Yeah.
chatting, and I was like, yeah, I had some weird dreams last night. And my mind all morning has been like, I've been like having my coffee and I've been thinking, well, what did that mean? What was my subconscious trying to tell me something? And I will be pondering that all day,
Mm.
but not in like a dramatic negative way, but in a way of what can I learn from that dream because it was powerful.
Mm. I mean, dreams are, as we discussed before, dreams are always really fascinating because they just show you a little video of how your life would be, but they also included in that little video are all the feelings and all the emotions that feel
Yes.
absolutely real in that moment, in that dream. And so it's like you have a little trial at that particular thing, whatever it is, wildness that's gone on in your sleep, in your subconscious, in your dream. And yeah, of course, it's your subconscious trying to show you something. And the interesting question is why? What is there to learn from that? Or what is there perhaps to be grateful for in that? It's like, oh, thank God, I'm not that in that dream, you know.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
anxiety is it showing me? Is it showing me an anxiety about something? Is it showing me, yeah, you know, there's just a million different questions that you can go to. And I do think that a dream journal is a fantastic thing because our subconscious, when we sleep, is processing, you know, our and I don't know enough about sleep, but you know, there's one part of our brain, the thinking alert bit, that does has a little snooze, but the rest of the brain is still, it's doing basically, it's doing all your filing work for you. I always think of it. It's just like filing everything away, everything that you learned,
Yes.
everything you experienced in the day. It's just like that's going into the folders. And if there's something gnarly that's come up, it'll go, okay, let's just run this scenario. Let's see how this one feels. Um,
No, it's true. And I bet I'm definitely not alone in this because it was just Thanksgiving and everyone was around their families. And
mhm.
so you get triggered by things.
Yeah.
If you're in a good place with your family, like something can come up that triggered you, and there's an anger that you have a hard time getting over or betrayal. And
Mm.
then, because my mom just left yesterday, and then I had certain dreams about certain family members. And so I actually wanted to say that because if anybody's listening to this and they were just with their family for the holidays, um,
Mm.
or are going to be, you might have some weird dreams. So yes, dream journal is a good idea.
It is a good idea because, you know, even if you're just sort of doing something and completely insane, but I feel that when a dream is very vivid and when there are feelings and emotions that come up and you're like, holy moly, that was really vivid, like super
Yeah.
vivid. There's something there to be learnt. And your subconscious has gone, okay, we're just going to run this because we know that they need to feel this and they need to experience this. And they probably won't allow themselves to or do this in their real world life.
Yeah.
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 So, okay, so confused girl, al-
Okay.
always confused, but always growing, always learning. Yeah, I love that. It's a great place. So, your book is it basically your story of how you got to be where you are and your entrepreneurial, you know, is it going to be good for people who are like wanting a bit of spiritual entrepreneurialism? Because that is quite a big place that people want to reside because they want to create a business. You know, I call myself, you know, put myself in that. You know, I want to create a business that does good, that helps, that supports. Um, and I
That
want
you feel, oh, sorry.
no, and I want it to be a success, you know, and you want to feel like you're, yeah, making a positive difference, but it's
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I go through all of that. I go through my journey from I take people through when I worked in Hollywood.
Oh,
And when I went
yeah.
back to my parents' restaurant and my mom's Irish, my father's from Italy. So I mean they're wild and
Mm.
wonderful and wild.
That's,
And then I take people to I come back to Los Angeles and then I go to this like deep dark depression and then how I found my way out of it and then how I started like really following the breadcrumbs the universe was leaving me and how to trust the universe and how it is a combination of doing and letting go.
yeah.
And and then I take people through like even my chapter 3 is about comparisons.
Mm.
And because I think comparisons is something I used to struggle with really, really badly.
Mm.
Um, and with social media and everything, it's just run rapid. And I just think
Yeah.
comparing yourself constantly can really get you into a depression and just this cycle of never feeling like you're enough.
Yeah. Okay, so give me your top tip on how we get out of comparing ourselves to others.
Well, so I
Comparison.
I give an example of like a good comparison, right? So like let's say you're in yoga class and you really want to do this pose and you can't seem to get it and there's this girl next to you just doing it flawlessly.
Hmm.
Instead of being there and going, "Oh my gosh, I'm so horrible. I've been, I can't do this still. Why can't I do this still? She's so much better than me." Blah, 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 right?
Hmm.
It's like just stop yourself. And a one way you can stop yourself is by taking that thought, like I do this sometimes, and like imagine it going into a trash can that's on fire,
I
like
love
burning it. You just go, I'm
it.
not going to do that to myself, you know? And then going up to her afterward and be like, you know what? You do that so well. Could you show me how to do that? Like what you do? And not only do you make her feel really great and it feels good to make other people feel really great, but then she could actually show you. And then you start to work your way through it, which is so much more beneficial to you. It makes so
Mhm.
much more sense than just hating her and hating yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. You're so right. There's so much. Well, I feel like there's a lot of wisdom in your book, and I think there's a lot of inspiration in your story as well, and your company for your yoga leggings and all of that, I think is just it's a really lovely example of somebody, creating the life that they want through sheer determination, but leading by example. It's fantastic. So
Thank
thank you,
you.
Giovanna. Where can people get your book?
So you can pre-order it now. You can go to my website, confusedgirlinthecity.com, and I have like the Amazon links. You can
Okay.
buy it on at Barnes and Nobles. You could also online right now. And then yeah, you can even get it sent to your Kindle. You can pre-order it. And you can also follow me at Confused Girl LA.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, I'll put all of that, I'll put the links to your site and everything in the show notes. Um, but it's been a real joy chatting to you, Giovanna. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.